Hi, I'm Mark Jacksina, and this is Order Fire. Today I'm sitting down with my good buddy Bob Peters, head mixologist at the Punch Room on the 15th floor of the Ritz-Carlton here in Uptown Charlotte. This one's going to be a special one because Bob was sort of one of the first individuals I met when I got into Charlotte. Who would have thought that drinking cheap beer in some dingy spot in Plaza Midwood, and we'd both end up here. One is a sort of a farm-to-fork chef, and the other one is a garden-to-glass bartender.
Bob Peters is a rare Charlotte native who has seen firsthand the evolution of the Charlotte culinary and cocktail scene. He is well known for his creative palate, as well as his deep roots and friendships, and he has a long history of providing not just refreshment, but a larger and more personal experience. Bob has won numerous awards, including 2015 Global Bartender of the Year for the Ritz-Carlton. He was Voters' Choice for Best Mixologist in Charlotte Magazine for 2 years running, has won countless other awards, and he's been featured in international, local, and regional publications. A handcrafted cocktail from Bob is an adventure, one not to be rushed, that combines innovative tastes and experiences, even nostalgia. He listens to his guests and creates one-of-a-kind concoctions to savor. Today, you can join him on this libation journey at the Punch Room, where he is head mixologist, located on the 15th floor of the Ritz-Carlton in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Bob Peters.
Hey.
Thanks for having us out today, man. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
It's a beautiful space.
Thank you.
I know that you had everything to do with the design of it.
That's a little bit above my pay grade.
Just a touch.
Just a touch.
So, Bob, you were my first bartender in Charlotte, which to some people may mean nothing, but...
I was bartending on Thomas Street back then. How many years ago was that now?
More than 10.
Yeah.
It was like 12 years almost, Bob.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah, we came stumbling in. Fabrice and I were just getting ready to open up Lulu. We hadn't even quite gotten open yet. We rolled up in, and you were bartending. And I want to see if my memory's right. Was it Thursday nights?
Wednesday, Thursday were my nights, I believe.
Yeah. So we walk in, and your ponytailed hair off to the side.
Back when I had hair.
Yeah. Sideshow Bob.
That's right. That was a fun time. Thomas Street was an amazing place to work, and I really enjoyed working there. All the people were great. The neighborhood, of course, is wonderful. As you know, Plaza Midwood is a great place to live and to work. The regulars are awesome, and they all take care of each other. It's a little neighborhood community, some family sort of feel here and there.
You know, we had kind of hit martini time right around there in Charlotte.
Totally. It was not. People always say martini, like they make great martinis. Well, sometimes people actually mean martinis, and sometimes people mean shooters in glasses that are shaped like a V. Mm-hmm. You know, and that to them is a martini. Well, I always knew that wasn't exactly the case. That they were actually shooters that were typically on the sweeter side and kind of fruity sometimes in a martini glass. But that was a fun time because here in Charlotte we got to explore. That was at the boom of the flavored vodka sort of thing, and so that was a ton of fun for a long time. It was a lot of fun. However, you know, all good things and some things that aren't so good shall pass. So Thomas Street was right there, and so we had a ton of booze to play with and tons of great people to pour drinks for, including yourself and that whole crew you used to come in with. And we used to just have a lot of fun and, you know, explore different flavors together and sort of see if we could come up with something other than, you know, like a Royal Flush or an apple martini, you know, and play
Flush.
How many of those have you had?
A lot, and a lot of them, and it's been years since I've had one on top of it, but it's funny because I'm like, God, I probably had enough of them.
Plenty. I've had my share.
But I mean, the thing was, is like, I recall on a fairly regular basis, you would just be like, here, try this. And you just make a cocktail. Whatever it was that you made, I can understand, like, you could make a successful cocktail program back then on great colors and a lot of sugar.
Yeah,
it seemed like.
Typically a flavored vodka, a cordial of some kind, and then, you know, maybe lime juice, maybe lemon juice, and simple syrup and or sour mix. Mm-hmm. And the sour mix was one of the major problems with the cocktails or the shooters back then, is that it just was so heavy on like citric acid, you know, that everything sort of tasted the same, and it's not really that good. sour mix you should be able to drink.
Right.
Like lemonade. Like good sour mix you should be able to drink like lemonade. And that you can't do with a powdered mix.
With chefs, when we approach a plate, obviously, I mean, besides the texture things and whatnot or color things, we obviously run through sweet, salty, sour, spicy, and things like that. Do you, as a mixologist, do you guys have a lexicon of flavor that you basically use?
It depends on the cocktail. You know, you have to, my personal opinion is that you sort of have to approach each cocktail like it's its own person. It has its own identity.
Right.
So if it's a child and you have a new child, you sort of do what you can to mold that child into the best of your ability as a good person, and so on and so forth. And with a plate, I imagine, or a cocktail in this case, you sort of let it grow its own personality, but you do what you can to make sure that it's well balanced and that it has things that are interesting. I think that drinks can be intelligent if you let them be. You know, they can be smart, they can be funny, they can be intelligent, like I said before, and most of all, I think they all need to be balanced.
So, you know, that's awesome. So, it's awesome because it made me think of, like, when I approach my plates, like I have a narrative. Like
Right.
there's a story that I want to tell on the plate. And, you know, it could be a made up story, whatever. I mean, I take poetic license with stuff. Sometimes I'll filter it through a geography story that I want to tell. You know, a false memory, if you will, but something that elicited an emotional response on the dish or what I wanted to put in there, put this picture to my head, and that's sort of how I want to do it. Tell me, like, when you're going about approaching a cocktail, like some of the things that you do or don't do. I mean, how do you go about it?
If I have a story for a cocktail, then I will have a okay, so for instance, in the spring, I came out had an idea of what does spring mean to me. You know, the new spring menu is coming out, and I'm trying to fill it with great cocktails and interesting things. So I thought to myself, what does spring mean to me? Well, as an adult here in the South, where we have mild weather, the spring doesn't mean a whole lot. But when I was a kid, spring was an incredible time because then all of a sudden you can play all day again without having, the mom just let us out the back door.
Right.
You know, get out, you know, go have fun, come back when you're hungry. And then if you didn't come back when you were hungry, she would call you in at lunchtime in the spring, right? I always remember this very distinctly. So she would call and you'd be like, what? You know, and she'd be like, come inside for lunch. And I'd be like, I don't want to come inside for lunch. I'm having fun with my buddies, you know, like, look, they're all here. So she'd be like, get inside and eat lunch. And so you'd come inside and you'd sort of be dragging and upset, and she would have a sandwich ready on the table, you know, and I remember very distinctly, and I don't know why this has such a strong imprint on my memory, but it was a peanut butter, honey, and banana sandwich. And it was ready to go.
Right.
And I thought I was going to have to wait around and all this stuff, and I was like, yes, it's ready. So to me, somehow I got, in the spring cocktail menu, I got to peanut butter, honey, and banana. So I was like, well, why don't I make a peanut butter, honey, and banana cocktail? So what goes good with peanuts? Bourbon. Bourbon goes good with almost everything in the entire world because it's
much
amazing. But so I infused some peanut with some bourbon, and then I made a homemade honey banana syrup, and then sort of mixed everything together, and it's amazing. So that got me thinking about summertime. So summer, again, there's a little bit of change in things because you're out of school. So what changes when you're a kid about summer? Well, you can play outside after dinner. You know, you come in for dinner and then you can go back outside for another hour or two.
Yeah.
Depending on how early you ate. So I did my whole summer line of cocktails. My summer menu was about kids' summer games that you played. So you remember Kick the Can, Ghost in the Graveyard, and then you had the pool games like Marco Polo, Sharks and Minnows, Red Rover, Duck Duck Goose, all those kids' games. Those are my names that I did for all my cocktails for the summer menu. So that's the story that I wanted to tell. That is what, you know, this is all about, is a different experience. And so that's why we have to give people alternate yeses, is because if it's the same thing that they always get, then it's going to be close to the same experience that they always get. And I want to give people something different, you know, a grander experience, something where they feel spoiled and they feel like they don't have to make any decisions for a little while. We make so many decisions every day. You know, it's kind of nice to sit back and relax and let somebody else drive for a little while.
Well, and here you kind of have to, right? There's a no standing rule.
We ask our guests, I guess the catchphrase is there's no vertical drinking. So of course you can stand if you see somebody you know, of course, but this way we keep everybody in their own comfortable space and it doesn't get too crowded. That's really wonderful for people at the bar, especially because if you and I are having a conversation at the bar, one of the things that drives me crazy is when somebody walks in between us to try to get the bartender's attention.
So do you have cocktail servers that come and take orders, or do people come up to the bar to order?
We have cocktail servers. So we want everybody to be able to relax as soon as they get in the door and sort of put it on cruise control and take it easy. So our servers will come over to your table. They'll give you a little sample of the punch of the day, then a menu as well. Give you a little bit of time to review the menu, and then if there's any questions, of course, you give and answer questions.
Right.
And then we'll do drink orders. And then if you don't like something or nothing catches your attention on the menu, then we can go off menu just as easy as we can go on.
Right.
However, we do try to have people get outside of their comfort zone a little bit. You know,
Sure.
a vodka tonic is beautiful, you know, and I love a good vodka tonic. However, I've had a ton of them. I've had, hundreds of them probably in the time that I've been able to drink. So I would like people to get out of that sort of comfortable little box a little and try something that they haven't tried before. You know, if you like a dirty martini, fine. However, let me get you something else that you're going to like, and something that's going to be new to you. I always tell people that if you always have the same drink, then you can never have a new favorite drink.
That's a good way of putting it.
Right.
So with the space here right now, you have like no televisions.
No televisions. We only seat 37 people at one time. It's very calm. It's very quiet. We have music that's playing softly in the background. But it's really about the experience of sharing something with the guests that you bring in. You know, so if you were to come in here with your wife, then you actually get to sit down and take time and talk to your wife. It's really great. It's really, really great. We have this ability to sort of give you this intimate feeling.
It does. I mean, the acoustics in here are interesting. I noticed it like when we first walked in. I'm like, you really feel sort of insulated from everything that's going on. I mean, we're 15 floors up, right in the heart of Uptown Charlotte, and you can't hear it. You don't feel it.
Right. It's it's nice. It's really
That's a
really
good way to diffuse the
comfortable.
energy, I think.
It is, and again, you know, every day we do so much. We lead such active lives that it's nice to be able to sort of come in and actually relax. You know, you don't have to go get your drink. We'll bring it to you. If you don't know what you want, we'll decide for you. If you don't like it, we'll get you something else. If you're hungry, we'll bring you a little bite to eat. It's really a very adult way of experiencing an evening out with somebody that you actually want to be with.
Do you feel like this is sort of the beginning of what we're going, like how cocktails will form, not cocktails, but where you go to have a cocktail?
I think that this is a branch of a tree. Like, for instance, you can do so many different things in an evening here in Charlotte, and this is one avenue. I think we might see more relaxed places in the future. I hope we do, with really high levels of service. I would love to see that. This is what I would like to be doing if I was off.
When you first started off at this, I mean, you didn't go right out of high school and go like, I'm going to be a mixologist. I'm going to win awards for this.
No, I sort of stumbled upon my love of bartending when I moved back to Charlotte. And
Where'd you move from?
I was in college at UNC Wilmington.
Okay.
And then I moved back home, and let's see, 2000, no, not two, it was before that, late 90s. I moved back home and got a job at this little tiny place called the Elizabeth Pub. It was a total dive. And that's where I got my first start, and it was dirty and amazing.
Busy, just
No, super slow. It was like bartending 101, which was great for me because I didn't know what I was doing. Twisting off a beer cap was a real thrill.
Right.
So it was. I was like, there you go.
I'm serving.
Right, I'm serving. I can do it. So that was a great start, and I'll always love that place. And there's still a couple people around Charlotte that remember getting drinks at the Elizabeth Pub.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a long time ago now.
Just a little while.
Yeah.
From Elizabeth Pub, this little dive, cracking open beers to 15th floor of the Ritz-Carlton.
No.
Man, that's a jump. I mean, I know there's a lot in between.
There was a long time. I mean, almost 20 years in between. Or, yeah, 20 years. Wow.
And so, like, the actual concept of Punch Room, were you a spearhead in the actual concept? Or did they come to you and go, we want to do a speakeasy, Bob, and you're it?
They came to me and asked what I thought about the concept and the name, the Punch Room, and I said, I think it's wonderful. And they were like, can you run with us? And I was like, absolutely, absolutely. So that was a huge honor to have somebody like the Ritz-Carlton here in Charlotte come and find me, little old me.
Is it, how's the pressure? I mean, did you... I mean, you're pretty easygoing for the most part, but I know inside there's still a little banjo that gets wound tight at times.
Yeah.
I mean, you're at the top of the game, and you don't get there without having a vested interest.
Well, you try, we all here, all of us here in Charlotte are trying really hard to do something special for our city, and for our individual businesses and, for our bosses and our friends and our neighbors. And I'm definitely, I try really hard, and I worry about things just like anybody else. But pressure is like, to me, pressure is something that you have to learn how to deal with, and it's something that you have tools for. And so at certain points you get to talk to, like I talk to my wife all the time about things that are bothering me or things that I need to work out as far as, like, I don't know, new glassware or something, like how do I go about doing this? And so she helps me through it. So she's definitely a big help in helping me handle my stress. And then, friends and coworkers, peers, I look up to all the chefs here in Charlotte.
Well, you're pretty well integrated with almost every who's who in Charlotte in the food scene. I mean, not just through Piedmont Culinary Guild, but even in spite of it. I mean, you are, like, if somebody's doing something, invariably they call you.
Well, I've been here in Charlotte for all my life. I was born in Charlotte, so I've either served you a drink or lived next door to you. So,
which you still serve us a drink then, right?
Right, I'd still serve you a drink. I'll invite you over for drinks. But so I know a bunch of people, and I'm very fortunate that a lot of my friends are incredibly talented people.
So Charlotte. And I say because I know that you do, but Charlotte doesn't have a distinct food style. We're not low country. We're not, there's not a Charlotte style that people go like, oh, I know what that is.
Right.
But our style is our agriculture. We have a very strong tie to agriculture in our food scene, and that is spilled over in the cocktail scene. Here, that's not necessarily part of the concept, but it's an integral part of the concept. Meaning,
right.
It's not Punch Room Farm to Fork cocktails, it's the Punch Room.
Right.
And
we do amazing cocktails, and I think the easiest way to do that is to use farm fresh ingredients, so much to the point where I actually asked if we could put a garden on the roof, and they were like, yeah, we can totally do that.
We still have the beehive up there?
So yeah, we've got 2 beehives up on the roof, and we have a pretty big garden now, and it's organic. So we can go upstairs and find cilantro or jalapenos or whatever, and then clip them and bring them downstairs and make cocktails with them.
Nice.
It is nice. It's
are you
very
involved?
nice.
Do you go up there and do you?
I go up there every day and check on things and see where things are, because if you're not paying attention, then something will fall off the vine.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
go to-
So do you guys have like a gardener for the Ritz-Carlton,
We
or
do.
is it?
We do. We're very fortunate in that we have we have an engineering department, and a couple of the guys really know a lot about gardening. So they make sure that everything is getting what it needs upstairs.
And do they talk to you like, hey, we're getting ready to plant because peppers are over. What do you want?
I sat down with the chef at the end of the winter, and we made out our list of everything that we wanted.
And when you say everything that we wanted from spring into summer, or do you guys actually look a whole year ahead?
We try to do as much at a time, and things that we can keep going all of spring and summer, and then into fall. So we planted a ton of tomatoes up there. Herbs, every herb that you could possibly think of. I'm fairly minimal with things. I think that you're supposed to use great booze. I believe that you're supposed to use great ingredients and then tie them together somehow. And so if I have fresh stuff from the garden or from one of the local farmers or whatnot, then I'll try to use a homemade syrup with it, and then
Which you do a lot of that here. I mean, you really are crafting a lot of your ingredients.
I make almost everything that we use possible from scratch. Not quite everything, but eventually, hopefully we'll get there one day. And the idea would be to also be totally self-sustainable with our garden on the roof for as many months as possible. I don't think that it's with a rooftop garden without the possibility of say a greenhouse type
Right.
thing. I don't think that all year round is quite possible yet, but never say never.
Right. I mean,
Right.
there's enough chefs in here that are proving that you can get almost anything done if you want it.
Right.
You can find it if you go looking, foraging
Right.
for it.
Right.
Clark Barlow.
Clark Barlow.
He finds everything. And the other person I see a lot on social media is Bob Peters. You have a rather large following.
It's getting there. It's getting there.
How many?
I think I haven't checked it in like 30 seconds. So I think it's this morning. It was at 36,000.
So that's on Instagram. 36,000 followers, give or take.
Instagram's my favorite. Yeah.
What is it about Instagram that you like?
I really like the simplicity of it, and people aren't compelled to talk too much about anything on Instagram.
It's very voyeuristic, right? You post up a picture.
It is, and that's kind of a cool thing, It's sort of like time travel almost, You can step out of your living room or wherever you are when you're looking at your phone or computer, and then just peek into somebody else's world just for a second, just for that one picture, that one frame. And they have the video thing too, but
Right.
I don't typically get as positive responses out of video than I do from pictures. Isn't that funny?
What, do we have to think about it that way?
Yeah.
Or all this stuff? Yeah, well, because it's funny. I like to have this conversation when I'm sitting down with my peers about this, because it's interesting that in this day and age now, obviously, you're not just Bob Peters mixologist, you're Bob Peters self-PR man, your Punch Room's arm of their PR machine of the Ritz-Carlton, blah, blah, blah. Do you enjoy that part of it? Do you think it gets in the way at all? Do you not think about it at all?
It takes a little getting used to, because once you get a grasp on how social media works, when it works positively and it works well in the way that it's supposed to, then you realize that you really need to have a very singular focus. Like the only thing I post about is drinks.
Right.
Or what special fun projects I'm doing, or something about cocktails. I don't post about, my cat or, what I had for dinner at the spaghetti place.
Right.
None of that. It's just about cocktails. I think I'm doing some fun stuff, and I think that it should be fun.
Well, I don't think you're the only one that thinks that if you got 36 some odd thousand followers.
Well, thank you.
So here's a question, and this is sort of the meat of it. So was this organic?
Well, it was funny because when I first started on Instagram, I did post some pictures, and if you scroll back, I still left a couple of those there. I do have a picture of my cat. I've got a picture of me eating at Lang Von, one of my favorite restaurants, and a couple things of a picture of my wife and a couple things like that. But and then shortly after that, I posted a picture of one of the drinks that I was doing that day. and it got more likes than the other stuff did. And I was like, huh, okay. So then I tried it again, and it did the same thing. I had the same sort of reaction out of it. And so at that point, I realized nobody really cares about what you had for dinner. You know, that's not really the interesting thing when you're in the profession that we're in. They're more interested in what you're creating. You know, what are you working on? What is your project? What drink did you do just today? You know, so that's the part that I locked into, and I was like, okay. So again, there's that singular focus that I was talking about.
Does it matter?
You mean social media?
Yeah, just any of it. Do you think it makes a big difference, or doesn't it? I mean,
I think it does. I think it does when you do it right. If we are putting new curtains in the windows here, that's not something that you need to post on social media. Nobody cares.
Right.
Nobody cares.
Got new toilet paper.
Right. Nobody cares. But if you are putting out a new product, that's where I think it's very important, and people, it matters. I think it matters at that point. I've had people that have come in from San Francisco that because they had a layover in Charlotte, and they were like, well, I follow this guy on Instagram. Let's go check out what he's doing. Let's go see if the punch room's open. You know?
Right. So, well, speaking of fame, you've won multiple awards, but big one this past year. So you got a Sabre Award for Best Global Bartender, and global being for all of Ritz-Carlton's, which is a lot.
Well, I was very lucky. The Sabre Award is for outstanding service industry professionals, so it encompasses all service industry professionals for everybody globally, and so
not just mixologists; it's everybody in the service part of it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, dude.
So it's a great honor, and I was really really excited and honored and stunned, really, that I was even mentioned in the room where that discussion was going on. So yeah, that happened this year.
So yeah, that happened.
Yeah, that happened.
After that, it's like walking on the moon. What next, right? Pisces got Best Cocktail Program that
we got
2014. Was that it?
I think so. We got Most Creative Cocktail and a couple other things the first year, and then the second year it got a couple more awards, and then
you guys opened. Then you opened up here. You
we
got
opened up
Best
here.
here, but you got two for here. One is mixologist, and then one for the program itself.
Yeah, there was also, I think we got Most Inventive Cocktail Program or something.
You get so many awards you can't remember anymore.
Well, I try not to dwell on that stuff. You know, it's great, and I love it.
I hate, that's funny. Whenever I ask, this is why I love my friends, and pretty much anybody that I've managed to sit down with becomes my friend anyways. I love the fact that you're kind of embarrassed about winning awards, because it's not what you do it for.
No,
but if I'm sitting here asking you this, they're going to be listening to these people, right? It's like, I don't do it for the awards, but it's nice to be recognized.
It is. It's great to be recognized, and it feels good. However, it's like, okay, you did this very well, okay, and it's like, all right, well, it's time to get back to work. Let's go.
Right.
Like, let's do something more fun. Let's do something better.
So let's talk about cocktails, Bob.
Okay.
Let's talk about the pink elephant in the room. This is a punch.
This is one of our punches. This is called the Fiesta Punch. This is tequila with fresh orange, fresh lime. We also have Lenny Boy's beet ginger kombucha in here, which is really, really nice. It balances everything excellent. There's a tiny bit of simple syrup, and then we garnish it with jalapeno and cilantro.
These are from the roof garden?
Yeah, you want to try it?
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. This thing looks delicious. All right, so punch room. Punch.
Yep.
So you guys do a punch du jour?
We
or
do.
Multiple punch du jours? Or what?
We do. We get, every day we try to make a different punch. Try that. People go nuts over this. They love it.
Cilantro on that, it's funny because the stems have been sitting in it, which is my favorite part of the cilantro, actually, because it's so green and just different. Wow. That's got some punch to it.
A little bit?
Yeah, but not in a bad way. It's not aggressive on the jalapeno. It's not the cilantro. Like I said, the stem part really comes through of that, and that's my favorite part.
Good.
Like I said, of cilantro. When the kombucha balances out really good, it's fantastic. So you have to do How many a day on the average do you make?
Oh wow. We probably make at least 10 of these a day. At least.
I mean, how many different punches?
We I think we have 5 or 6 different punches on the menu right now.
And they'll go like a day or two. Some of them, like you'll make a batch.
Well, I'll do a punch of the day, and again, we try to do a different punch every single day. We try, and I'm sure that there's been some overlap. But I quit after about a month and a half of us being open. I quit naming them because that began to be stressful.
Yeah.
So I was like,
everything. Spend more time trying to come up with a name.
Right. And I was like, listen, I'll make them, but I'm not going to name them anymore.
Right.
This is the punch of the day. Tomorrow, it's going to be the punch of the day. Yesterday, we had the punch of the day. And the day after that, it's going to be the punch of the day. So
it'll be the punch of the day if I come in tomorrow?
Tomorrow, we will have a punch of the day.
Fantastic. That sounds delicious.
Right.
So, I mean, I know from a chef's point of view, having to change a menu daily requires a bit after a while because you have to stay inspired, right? Now, what do you find? What do you use for inspiration? Like even just for your punches?
Definitely ingredients. Definitely ingredients. Plum. I just made a plum syrup a couple days ago, and it's amazing. I really love playing with that. So we did a punch of the day with plum syrup, and that was with gin, plum syrup, fresh orange, and prosecco. That was really delicious.
What kind of gin? Cardinal or?
We did. I think it was either Cardinal or Topo. Yeah, top of the hill.
Yeah, he's.
Those guys are great. And we've been very fortunate in the area with our agriculture, like you mentioned earlier. We've grown great relationships with our farmers, and same thing is happening with the distillers. North Carolina and Charlotte has gone through this renaissance of craft distillers in the past couple years, and we are getting, out of everything that they can make, we're getting some amazing gin out of this. Like really, we've got Top of the Hill Distillery in Chapel Hill. We've got Cardinal doing amazing stuff in Kings Mountain. We've got Doc Porter's here in town that makes another great gin. There is Sutler's Gin out of Winston-Salem, and then I could go on and on. There's tons more. And so we've got great relationships now with distillers as well as the farmers around here. And I really feel fortunate to be working in Charlotte, North Carolina at this time during this renaissance of, craft beer, food, and craft distillers. I mean, things are starting to really shape up in our favor. So one of the new drinks that I'm doing, I mentioned the plum syrup earlier. I've sort of changed one of my recipes that has started off with apricots, and now I'm putting plum in it. It's called Marco Polo, and that's again like sort of the nod to the kids game, the pool game Marco Polo.
Yeah. Well, with my name, I've had to deal with that my whole life.
So, Marco Polo in real life was an explorer, and he went from Italy to Asia, China. And so my cocktail is Fernet Branco, which is Italian. It's a bitter digestif. And then it also has sparkling sake in it. So then there's that travel of Italy to Asia.
And you're using the plum syrup in there as well?
And plum syrup, right. And a little bit of Cointreau. Yeah, it's good.
That sounds awesome. Can I try one?
You want to make one?
I would love it.
I'll go get you one.
Okay.
All right.
Hard life. Let's move this out of the way. Ooh, fancy schmancy.
Well, only the best for you, buddy.
Well, your friendship is best enough, Bob.
All right. This is neat. Got a little sparkling sake for the top of that.
Look at you.
I know, right? It's not too bad. Marco Polo. Give that a try.
Does the cherry go in?
No, you can leave it there and you can pluck it out whenever you're ready for it.
That's ridiculous. Like, seriously, I'm not even saying it because we're on camera and I'm here talking to you. That really is like a very sophisticated drink.
Thank you. Super herbaceous. You get a lot of eucalyptus in there, and like some chamomile even, and touches of mint. There's saffron in there. There's a lot in there. It's a lot. This is a pretty good example of what I'm doing, what I have been doing recently. So there's only a couple of ingredients in there, but we try to use some really beautiful produce. So we've got the plum in there, and then some sophisticated booze. So Fernet Branca, and we have some stuff to balance it out. Some Cointreau, and then the sparkling sake is a little something that's unexpected. So, and again, tying these things together under the name of Marco Polo, that's where I think the sort of intelligence comes together, and there's a click, there is a story there.
Right. No, it's a
and then a bit of an unexpected presentation with a board, and it's called a squid that's holding that homemade brandy cherry.
Yeah, this looks like something out of Alinia's repertoire. You know, like where they've done these things with these bizarre suspensions and great offerings.
But when you get down to it, it's basically a simple cocktail.
And it has all the elements of a very old-fashioned style cocktail, from the color to the viscousness of the drink, the brandied cherry. It's a drink with a lot of history, both in narrative, but also in the way that it's done. I mean, it is it's a long way to go for a cocktail. And I don't mean for you to go as a cocktail, but I'm thinking about it in the greater sense of like when you and I first met, that narrative of like how long I've known you, to now sitting here like up on the 15th floor, right? Are you happy with where you're headed? Are you happy with where you're at?
Yes, very, absolutely, very happy. Can't ask for much more, you know?
Right.
Who would I be if I asked for much more? Be a jerk.
Yeah, no, you'd be a large jerk on top of it.
Right. So I'm very happy with where I'm at. The Punch Room has been great to me and to my family, and I think it's been good to Charlotte. And that's something I really try to do is focus not on me, but focus on the bigger picture. You know, and it's being lucky enough to be involved with like the PCG, the Piedmont Culinary Guild. You know, the focus should be on all of us. You know, like all ships rise.
Right.
So that's kind of where my headspace tends to hover. But I feel very lucky, very blessed to be here right now. I mean,
Bob, I know you got things to do, brother. I can't tell you how much I appreciate the opportunity.
I've really enjoyed this too. Thanks.
Not as much as I did.
Sweet.
Stop.
Sweet.
Bob.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
He's going to keep this on us so we do something stupid.
You don't do it.
What?
Don't do it.
Don't do it?
Don't do it. Just sit here.